Welcome back to the Gen Z Speaks podcast. With us today, a special guest as always. Introduce yourself, brother.
Hi, my name is Yudhi Sharma. I comic. I've been doing it for a while in the LA scene. I don't know what else to say. I think that's a good.
You identify as a comedian.
I identify as a comedian, yes. Though the industry sees it different, I think.
So far, it'll change. What made you want to do comedy? Why comedy?
Comedy. I've always loved comedy. I love the aspect of it bringing people together, and I don't say that in like I don't mean I'm trying to bring people together. I mean like personally when I it goes back to my dad came here in to the U.S. in '94, and my mom and I came here in '95, and I remember reconnecting with my dad after like having not seen him for a year with through comedy. Like we were listening to these tapes they used to make in India. These comedy tapes, and just us sitting together listening to that. I was like, I remember that reintroducing myself to my dad in that sense, and I was like, oh, we're all laughing together at this. So I was like, I knew the value of comedy. I saw the value of comedy starting then.
Mm. So you came in 94.
95.
95. Your dad came in 94.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys were just alone in India for a year.
Yeah, but family, like there's a shitload of family in India, so we had we were good, like just bouncing around from here to there, like.
It wasn't depressing. It was a good
alone.
time. Yeah.
Oh my god.
They
Yeah,
give
we're
me
like
lonely, man.
In
if
the
you know
lonely
that.
state of India.
Yeah. It was just it was just a lot of family. I was sad to leave them, but also excited to see my dad and then connect with the other part of my family who I'd never really spent that much time with here, who lived in the U.S.
How old were you when you came here?
7. I
7.
just turned 7. Yeah.
Okay. How was that like? Do you remember that like when
I
you
do.
first came to America?
Oh yeah, I remember it vividly because we moved to from Chandigarh, which is a huge city. It's the capital of Punjab and one other state, and moved to Joliet, Illinois, which is like
Wow.
about 60 miles outside of Chicago. So moving from like this bustling city to this like very small, quiet town was a bit of a shift. But it was cool to, like I said, I was happy to see my dad again, happy to connect with like my cousins here, and then just kind of learn about how living here was in a whole different country.
Were you excited to be in America?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What was the Clinton presidency like?
I think all that shit with Monica had just
describe
gone
the economic-
down, and as a kid, I remember being fascinated with Clinton. 'Cause
You were like Lewinsky.
I was like, huh? He did what?
I didn't know you
With
could
a
do that in the
cigar?
Oval
What?
Office.
That was wild. I remember being fascinated with politics at an early age.
Yeah.
And just watching like all that stuff happen. I mean, he was like the first cool president I think we had since maybe Kennedy.
People say he was the first black president.
Yeah, they do say that.
What?
People say that.
No
People say
way.
that. I'm serious.
Because he's on Arsenio, he's playing saxophone, he's like smooth, but yeah, so that was like the thing about him. But yeah, I remember being like, I was like, all right, this guy seems cool. And then
Just like Little Bill.
yeah,
TV show?
the TV show. I don't think that was about him.
Basically, Bill, right? Little Bill.
What show? I don't know what you're talking about.
Little Bill was Bill Cosby's show.
Oh,
It was
the Cosby Show.
No, it was called Little Bill. It was a
Yeah,
cartoon
was
show
a
for
cartoon,
kids,
yeah.
and it was based on
Oh,
Cosby's
interesting.
Bald Little. It's never.
his childhood. Yeah,
Interesting.
different Bill. But
I
yeah.
did not have. I can't do a Clinton impression. Can you do one? You're good at
Yeah,
impressions.
yeah.
You always do this. Just
The
do
Bill
it.
Clinton one?
Yes, you
no,
always
you do it. You do it
Just
first.
do it.
He's
I
really
did
good.
not have sexual relations with that woman. Hillary. Okay.
That was solid.
It's all right. I've been doing a bit where I'll do a Kennedy impression, and then I'll ask the audience. I was like, "Yo, throw me a president, and I'll do an impression of them."
You can do a Kennedy one.
Yeah.
Do your Kennedy.
People often ask me, John, if you were still alive,
Oh wow.
who would
that's
you
really
vote
good.
for? And I say I would vote for the ones with the biggest knockers. All right, that's
Nice.
yeah.
Here's my
RFK.
RFK.
RFK. Good question. Yeah, I can't do RFK.
Yeah, I can't either. It's well, I guess it's not that hard. It's just that weird gravelly voice shit that he has going on. I did this bit somewhere and somebody was like Kamala. I'm like, she's not a president. Not
Smart. Yes.
a
Do
president.
Trump.
I refuse to do Trump. I think I started. Yeah.
Whoa.
I think I started doing
Whoa.
the impressions because I was like, everybody's doing a Trump.
Yeah, everyone
Okay.
does.
So
Yeah.
I was like, there's so many
I
like.
even do Trump.
If you go see any like comedy show in LA or any like open mic, there's like 17 Trumps. I'm like, will you all please stop it?
Yeah.
And they're all doing
No.
Shane Gillis doing Trump.
We'll never stop. We'll
All
never
right.
stop doing the Trump.
All right, I'm leaving now.
Yeah, the thing about the Trump impression is I think it's the easiest one to do. It's not
Yeah.
hard to do.
It's because of the cadence. He has such a
Yeah.
unique cadence, the way he speaks. And
You
then
know it's exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Like Bill
hilarious.
has a very like subtle voice. It's very
Yeah.
like I don't know. It's like, here's my Bill Clinton impression. Okay, it's very bad, but this is him explaining to the world that he did not have sexual relations with Monica Lewinsky. I did not have any sexual relations with that woman. See, terrible, horrible.
Yes.
I need to work on it. I think the hardest impression to do though, president-wise, what do you think is the hardest one? Living presidents.
Oh.
I struggle with George Bush Jr.
George Bush, really?
Yeah, George Bush Jr. Because some people yell that out when I'm doing the bit. They're like, W, and I'm like, I don't know. I just can't get his thing right. For me personally. Yeah.
I was gonna say Grover Cleveland, but he's dead. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Jimmy Carter because I don't know what he sounds like.
Jimmy Carter. He had a bit of a
One-term
he has a bit
president.
of a high pitched voice,
Uh.
and he has a southern twang.
He has a high pitched voice, Jimmy
Yeah.
Carter.
Jimmy Carter kind of talks like this a little bit. Okay, well,
A
there's
little.
bit, yeah, but he has like a little bit. His voice inflects high.
Mm.
Yeah,
Did you see that Jamie Foxx special that I told you about?
I did not yet. I gotta watch
oh,
that. I
you
gotta
have to
watch
see it.
Jamie Foxx is insane
Talented.
impersonator, dude.
it. Yeah,
He
very very good,
God.
very talented.
his Trump, by the way, is
Yeah.
one of the best I've seen.
Really?
Yeah.
I gotta
Joe
see.
Rogan said it's better than Shane Gillis. I disagree. Shane is still
Shane's
better,
insane. Yeah.
but I think Jamie Foxx is up there.
His Chappelle is.
Oh
amazing.
yeah, he did that one too.
Did he
Is it
really?
on Netflix?
Yeah,
The
yeah, you should
special?
watch it, dude.
Oh,
Jamie
okay.
Foxx's special is a special that I've never seen in comedy. He cried in it. He literally had moments of silence where he's just like crying,
Mm.
like for like 30, 20 seconds.
Genuine.
Wow.
crying?
Genuine crying, because you know what happened to him, right?
No, I don't.
He went into like into a coma for 20 days and he doesn't remember a single
What?
thing. Yeah, he almost died.
When was this?
Like last
Recently,
year. Yeah,
yeah.
recently.
I did not hear about.
People
this.
were saying like he was dead. There was a clone of him and some.
Yeah.
and he-
What the hell?
So there's a conspiracy within the.
yeah.
On Black Twitter, there's a conspiracy that like they take.
Wait, what's Black Twitter?
You don't
It's
know about
exactly
this?
what you think it is.
It's Black Twitter.
but like the
Black
black
people?
side of it. Yes.
Okay.
There's a conspiracy going on that they take famous black celebrities, and I mean all celebrities, but they focus on the black
blacks.
celebrities. That they take them at some point they'll replace them with a clone
Okay.
who is more in line with the values that they want or like that they can control.
Okay.
So the conspiracy is that Kanye's been cloned, Jamie
Yeah.
Foxx has been cloned.
Oh, I've seen the Kanye one.
Barack
Yeah.
Obama has he
Yeah,
been cloned?
Obama,
Joe
Really?
Biden.
Gucci Man at some point.
Joe, Bill
Okay.
Clinton. No.
Yeah. So
As the first black
Biden
person.
was interesting when they said that. They're like Biden's cloned, right? Because they're like, well, his ears were connected at some point, and then when you see him now, they're not connected.
Huh?
Yeah, because your earlobes, like some people have earlobes
Oh.
that just connect at the bottom, right?
He's got a
then,
facelift.
Like
though. He
yours are connected all the way.
Oh,
I have this little
thankfully.
dangling thing right here.
Yeah.
Mine's don't connect right at the corner right here. See, so his.
I'm good, right?
If you look at old Biden pictures, they're connected, but you see them now and they're not connected. So I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
That's just a facelift, though, no? If you get like a facelift surgery,
maybe,
that
I don't
happens,
know.
they say.
You think-
I
had a
saw the
facelift?
one where he was physically taller.
Yeah. They're like,
That
oh,
one
he's
was
taller.
weird.
Yeah.
That one was weird. That's
Yeah,
the only
it's
one I
good.
was like, he was
I
saying
mean, he might
next
just
to-
be wearing lifts or whatever. 'cause,
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Like the taller president always wins. Or the taller candidate, rather, always wins.
Jamie Foxx did an interesting take on it. Whose phone is that? Oh, okay.
Just mute.
He was basically Jamie Foxx did all the impressions in the world to prove that he's not a clone. Like he did all his movie bits
'Cause that's-
again. He
oh,
was like,
okay.
"I'm not a clone." yeah.
I think he's
real.
protesting too much. As
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
He's putting too much into it.
It's like, guys, really, I'm not a clone. Click, 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 you know. I'm like,
He
all
even
right.
sang in the special on a piano. Like,
How
he
long was the special?
an hour 10 minutes? It was something
Okay.
I've never seen ever.
It was
in
good?
comedy.
He's
It was
he's
good.
crazy talented
It was good.
in all the shit that he can do.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
He started out as a stand-up comedian
Did you really?
in '94.
Wow.
That's what he said. Yeah.
I was listening to the Timothy Chalamet one with Theo Vaughn today.
Okay.
He did a
The
podcast with Timothy
Yeah,
Chalamet?
yeah.
Oh, I
it
gotta
came
see
out
that.
today. I was listening to it on the road.
Yeah.
And Timothy, because he's doing the Bob Dylan movie, and so he's talking about doing impressions, and he says there's specific coaches out there in acting,
Yeah.
just to teach you how to impersonate somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
never. That's insane. That's a niche within a niche, right?
Yeah. There's actors will study how a certain, like if they're doing a role based on somebody, they'll study how that person moves,
Mm.
what their posture is like, the way they breathe, the way they inflect. They'll study
Yeah.
these things down to a T. And then other people, they're just like, oh
It
yeah,
makes
I
sense.
just yeah.
Yeah.
And then other people are just like, oh yeah, I just kind of picked it up, and I was like, I did it, and they're like, yeah, that's way better somehow. If you can just naturally do something, it's always better.
True.
But the other side of that is like if you really dedicate putting the time and the effort,
You can do
then
it.
It becomes yeah.
Like Jamie Foxx was basically Mike Tyson. He played Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
oh, that's
He
right.
played Muhammad Ali. He played that guy.
No,
He
last
played
year.
Ali.
No,
That
He
was
played
also-
Muhammad Ali. No. Jamie Foxx played Muhammad Ali as well. I'm serious.
Where?
In what movie?
Yeah.
In a film, I'm pretty sure.
It was Will Smith, bro.
No.
Ali.
But Jamie Foxx has played Muhammad Ali. No, am I tripping?
I don't think so.
In the Ali movie, it was
No, not
it
the
was Will
Ali
Smith.
movie. I think he's
Oh.
played Muhammad Ali.
Okay, I haven't
that's
seen
really-
it then.
Oh, that's interesting.
I might be wrong.
Jamie
But
Foxx.
Jamie Foxx has a natural, like,
Yeah.
just.
No, he's got a
strength to do
gift,
it.
dude.
He
Yeah.
does,
Yeah.
He's got a gift.
He's a natural. He's like a natural performer.
He can
Yeah.
do
He can-
everything,
Yeah,
bro.
he can sing.
So play the piano,
yeah.
impersonate, act, laugh, and
So when that
everything.
movie, when he played Ray Charles,
Ray Charles.
when he played Ray Charles, that's when he did that song with Kanye, Gold Digger, like when he's singing in the back of Gold
Oh
Digger.
yeah.
And they were somebody. I think he said, well, like one of his buddies was like, "Oh, you should do this," or maybe it might have been even Kanye was like, "Oh, you should sing on this," and he's like, "I can't sing," and they're like, "Nah, just try." And then he just started his whole singing career based on that.
What?
Yeah,
That's how it started with
crazy
Kanye.
shit, right? Yeah. Before that, he
Damn.
wasn't singing, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, okay, I got this too." And then he just started singing, and then he like started putting out albums and shit like
Yeah,
that.
he has a Grammy, I think, right?
That's
I
really
think so.
He has an Oscar for sure.
I was listening to a pod with him, and he was saying like how it started when he was like in fourth grade, and
Yeah.
he would do a show
Yeah.
every week, and people from the community started coming by to see
Yeah.
the school show of him do impersonations and jokes. Like, imagine being 10 years old and you performing a show in front of
in front of like
the
a lot of
community.
people.
That's pretty
yeah.
badass. That's pretty badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite impersonator? Do you look up to some
My
or?
favorite impersonator?
Jeff Dunham,
I can't think of one off the top of my head. Jeff Dunham, does he do a lot of impressions?
ventriloquist.
Afion Crockett, probably.
Okay. I don't know who that is.
I don't know
He's
who that
another black comic, very very funny. He's been around for like a long time. He does a crazy good Jay-Z impression. He does like a lot of like really good ones.
Your Jay-Z is pretty like accurate. I've never seen
Really?
a better Jay-Z.
Well, let's
Yeah,
hear
he
it.
just did it. It's really good, bro. Watch.
It's all right. I've started doing this Jay-Z bit since all that shit went down with him. But anyway, I just I'm not gonna do the bit. The thing is like
Yeah.
I can't see him coming down your eyes, but I gotta make the
all right, yeah,
I gotta make this song cry.
I could do it better. I think right now I'm just
Yeah.
That's
but
good.
Anyway, yeah, it's all right.
That's good.
It's decent.
Can you
That's
do
really
Diddy?
good,
Can't
man.
do it. All right, turn the lights off and give me some oil. And
Can you say I'm not guilty in the Jay-Z voice? I was not at them Diddy parties.
I mean, he was at a lot of them. That's my favorite rapper. Jay-Z's been my favorite rapper since I was a kid, and I'm like, I hope all that shit's not true. It's looking like it's not. Like,
What are the odds it is, though? You think you would say there's a possibility? Like,
There's a possibility of anything, but like based on the lady's testimony, some of the things she said, there's like a lot of inconsistencies with the story. So here's hoping it's not true. I mean, if it is true, lock him up. Lock up all the everybody else involved.
Even if he's your favorite rapper?
Yeah, of course.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I mean, just because he's my favorite rapper doesn't mean he's above.
I know who I wouldn't want as a fan.
would you stop listening to him if he
I
was
would.
found guilty?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I would.
Oh,
Because-
so you don't separate the art from the artist.
And not in.
Good question.
So I've argued this with some friends over the years regarding other artists, and I'm like, I don't do it. I find okay. My two of my favorite
Yeah.
art forms are hip hop and comedy.
Okay.
I'm a huge nerd for both, and I think they're inherently tied to who you are.
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay.
It's about you. You're putting yourself out there in a certain way. It's like, hey, this is my life. I'm presenting it to you. It's embellished in certain aspects, whatever. But here's my life. I'm like, those art forms you can't separate from the person. I feel like, because it's so much of it is you.
Yeah.
You're not painting a picture and be like, oh, here's a picture, whatever.
Mhm.
It's you going on the stage and either rapping about your life or being funny about your life, whatever it is. But so I'm like, for those who are forms, I hold them in high regard, and I'm like, I would stop listening to him, yeah, which would suck because I know. So
So you stopped listening to all of Diddy's produced songs.
I wasn't listening. Who the fuck was listening to Diddy before that? I was.
I don't know a single Diddy song.
Yeah,
don't
I was
know.
joking about this on stage too. I was like, "Oh, all this shit happened with Diddy. Now I can't listen to my favorite Diddy song." Like, yeah,
But doesn't he have a production company?
Bad
That's
Boy.
a huge
sure.
producer, right?
Yeah, I mean, producer in the sense of he's like, "Oh, that sounds good," like
Yeah.
he's
You can't
not.
listen to any of those.
He's not making beats. I don't give a shit about that. I mean,
Okay.
he's not on the song itself. I'm not listening to his voice.
Okay.
The most I'll hear from songs that I do listen to is like him going "Bad Boy" in the back, which I'm like, all right, whatever, dude. Yeah, and even that, I'm like, yo, AI it out of the song, like out of all the Biggie tracks or whatever, like get him out of there.
So many wild things that man has done.
Yeah,
Diddy, like he blew up. You know, he blew up Kid Cudi's car.
yeah.
No, I
He
don't.
blew it up,
What?
bro. He blew up. He put a bomb in Kid Cudi's car.
Why?
Because I think he was dating his ex or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cudi was dating one of his exes, and
Okay. Is it
and
alleged
he's-
or is this a fact?
Oh, this is true.
I mean, it's alleged. Everything's alleged until
Yeah.
it comes out, but that's the
But Kid Cudi came out and he said, "Yeah, that happened." Like,
yeah.
straight up
The thing is, Cudi himself isn't like.
trustworthy.
No, not trustworthy. He's just nutty. Like whenever you see him, he's always doing some wacky shit. Also, like he has his own demons that he's dealing with. Not as bad as Puffy's, but like
Puffy demon go crazy, bro.
yeah.
His demons love baby oil. Is all I have to say.
Yeah.
Baby oil and sex toys.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
that guy has a whole other slew of problems. But yeah, no, Puffy's been accused of doing some like all kinds of wild shit.
I think the lesson from
No.
Diddy is I'm never going to a party ever.
Yeah,
Hollywood related. Never
Never?
ever going to anything.
I don't like parties
You know.
anyway.
Yeah.
If I'm ever at like any
yeah, I'm not
thing,
a party guy. Either.
like the only thing I want to do is like if there's like a room full of a bunch of folks, right? I'm like the only person I really want to talk to is like a comic.
Mm.
If there's
Really?
a comic, yeah. I'm like because we speak a different language. I feel like, and that comes from like going on stage and bombing for fucking years. But
yeah.
there's that kind of camaraderie, and I'm like I don't know. I just want to talk to people anyway. Like if people who I think are like there was a comic's birthday party earlier this year, and he had non-comic friends there, and they're all inside like dancing, having fun, and all the comics are outside just talking. And I was like, yeah, because that's all we like want to do is just kind of but yeah, I don't know those
When did you start comedy?
2.5 years ago. It'll
2.5
be
years
3 in May. I mean, like I started like
Yeah.
6 years ago,
Okay.
and then I quit like 6 years ago because I was working evenings at the time, and it was
Yeah.
just so hard to get up, and I just was not improving because I was getting up once every other week because like bucket mics and all that, and I was like, okay, if I can get up on stage consistently enough, I know I'll be able to like develop a voice and feel confident up there to be able to kind of talk about
Yeah.
the shit I want to talk about, but that just wasn't happening.
Right.
So I was like, all right, I guess this is I can't put in enough of the time, and I
Yeah.
just don't have the resources to do it then.
Just take a pause. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't. Yeah, I kept thinking about it the whole time,
Right.
especially during like the pandemic. I was like, if ever all this shit opens up again,
Right.
I'm gonna give this an actual try and like really devote my time and energy into this, and it's been working out. This year's been great.
Would you say you're in love with the art of comedy?
Yes,
You are.
I am.
When do you think you reached that point? Like being actually in love with comedy.
I
Did you
loved it
always
before
have-
I did it.
You
I loved-
okay.
I loved it
interesting.
before I did it. Same thing with hip hop. And like I'm a nerd for comedy. I'm a nerd for hip hop. I'm a nerd for on some level politics as well. But
Mm.
like that's not something I want to.
You don't love
pursue.
politics, do you?
I don't love politics.
Mhm.
I find it fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
But as an art form, I think I fell in love with comedy probably in high school when like you guys are both like young, but early like 2000s there was like Kazaa and there was like LimeWire. You can just download download shit off the
Okay.
internet. That's when it first started, where you're just able, and we had like slow internet speed. So I'm talking about like there was like AOL, and then one day there was DSL, which was like you're able to download 3 megabytes per second or whatever, which I was like, or whatever it was. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
but I just started in high school. I started downloading every special I could find. So I listened to every comic that was out there, like the Blue Collar Guys. Chris Rock's been my favorite forever. Like I had all his specials. Like Carlos Mencia was big at the time. I just all these comics, and I used to just listen to it like religiously. And that's when I think I really started to like love the art form.
Was there ever a point where you're like, rap or comedy?
No. I mean,
Never wanna be a rapper?
I recorded some hip hop songs.
You did?
Yeah. I'm Yudhi the Icon. But anyway, it's
Really?
yeah.
Oh,
That was your
what's up.
Instagram username, no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah. That's yeah. So I recorded a bunch of songs, and I was decent at it, but I think kind of the same thing with comedy. Where like I never got in front of a crowd and performed. So I was like, all right, this isn't. I don't think it's like something I can pursue. I never really put it out there either, like online or anything
yeah,
like
just-
that.
okay.
Yeah, I recorded some songs, and I used to just play them for my buddies or whatever.
Okay.
And
Nice.
I've noticed in the songs I put out, and then also in my comedy currently, a lot of it is just like, hey, see how clever I am? See, isn't this clever? Isn't this clever? It's more of that.
Okay.
And where was I going with this? But yeah, no, never like I was like, no, I got to choose lane. Like the mic is calling me. Am I going to tell jokes or am I spit rhymes?
You didn't have an identity crisis over it. Am I a hip hop artist or am I a comedian?
No,
Like, it
never,
was
nothing
always-
like that. No, comedy. Even the idea of pursuing comedy came way later. Where
Yeah,
hip
So
hop
when you-
shit I was recording like when I was like in early like college years or whatever.
So when you fell in love with comedy, just watching it, when was that first moment where you're like, maybe I could do this?
A buddy's buddy. I was just watching it mainly just on from home,
Okay.
and a friend's friend was opening for some comic at the Improv. So the first show I ever went to, I remember being like 19 years old. I think it was like 19, 20 maybe, and he was like, "Yo, you want to go see my friend at the Improv?" I was like, "Let's go." So we saw him, and he was all right. I think this is maybe like 2007, 8 or something like that, and he was working on like his 5 minutes to get on like a late night talk show. So it was that kind of
Type
like
5, yeah.
yeah. But I mean specifically for that, which nobody does that anymore. Nobody's like, I have to get on like a late night show. They're like, yeah, if we get on a show, fine, whatever. But he was pursuing that. So it was anyway. He was opening, and the headliner. The headliner was this guy from New York who had just moved out to L.A. This comic by the name of Bill Burr. And I was
Who's
like,
that?
yeah, I was like, oh, it's the guy from Chappelle
William
Show.
Burr, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Wilfred.
Yeah.
Um,
Wilfred, yes.
And I was like, it's the guy from Chappelle Show. That's like where I knew him from.
Okay.
And he like destroyed. I was like, holy shit.
really?
And that sort of set a spark in my head. And then another buddy of mine, a few years down the line, like he was telling me, he's like, oh, I'm a comic. He was also a Freemason, which I don't know what that had to do with. It has nothing to do with anything, but I just thought it was weird. But
okay.
yeah, he just had like a Freemason locket. And I was like, all right. But anyway, he was,
Was he successful?
no.
Oh, okay.
But he's telling me, he's like, oh, I
Very
do,
quick no.
no, he was not. But he's telling me he did comedy, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you do stand up?" He's like, "Yeah, I do comedy." And I started asking him a lot about it. I was like, "How do you do it? What do you got to do?" And he's like, "You just gotta go to open mics and stuff." And when I got the nerve to do it, this is about seven years ago. I worked up the courage to do it, and I was like, "All right." So I'd been listening to podcasts and stuff, a lot of like religiously, like so many. Anyway, once I got the nerve to do it, I was like, all right, so let me start where I think it's obvious. Let me go sign up for this open mic at the Comedy Store. And I went there, I put my name in, and I was talking to this guy who'd I've never been on stage before. This guy's been on stage twice. The list comes out. First name is Yudhi Sharma. And I was like, oh, okay. I started freaking out immediately. I was like, all right, so I ran to go get a drink. I'm like, let me try to calm my nerves. And then this guy I've been talking to, he's like, yo, they're calling your name right now. And I was like, all right, let's go. I ran in, and they're like, going twice. And I was like, no, I'm here. He's like, you missed your chance, man. Come back next week. Which, in hindsight, probably for the best, because I would have ate shit up there. Yeah. And then I didn't try it again for like another year.
Oh,
'Cause,
really?
Yeah, I was like, oh, you know, it just like
Okay.
the nerves. And then there was like a open mic right near where I live, in West LA, like literally down the street. I went to go just watch.
Yeah.
And then the next week I put my name in. They gave us 7 minutes, which is also weird for open mic, but
Mm.
I did 7 minutes of my my first joke was doing an impression of, this is when Bernie and Hillary are
2016.
yeah. So 8 years ago now, I guess. But my first big joke was doing an impression of Bernie Sanders, and then doing Hillary Clinton as Gollum from Lord of the Rings. Like she just wanted the whatever so much. But anyway, I did that twice, and then I was like, all right, now I'm ready for the Comedy Store, so let me go here. And I went there and I just ate dog shit, and I was like, all right,
This way it is.
yeah.
The biggest club in the world.
The biggest question is, did the Freemason ever try to get you to go up to his club?
To his Freemason stuff?
Yeah.
No, he
No?
never.
Never tried to convince
Never
you?
try to recruit me. I
Really?
think they're selective about who they recruit. They're like, this guy's not it.
I've
I'm
been-
like,
I've been recruited.
Really?
Not kidding you.
Really?
Just kidding.
Yeah. I swear to God.
Really?
I've been tried. Well, I never went, but yeah, I was recruited by
Listen,
a
let's
homeless
not
man.
talk about this on the video. All right,
I
let's.
don't think I'll talk about it. It was a homeless man. I was at a homeless shelter.
Actually.
Swear to God, I was at. It was when I was volunteer at the homeless shelter, and this guy talked in my ear for about an hour and a half about
Yeah.
if I truly want to be successful in business, that I would have to join the Freemasonry,
Okay.
and that they will guide me, that they have connections in every sector of everything,
Sure.
and that I wouldn't need to do anything else but join the Freemasons.
And then end up at a homeless shelter.
And
like
he ended
that.
up at a homeless shelter.
It's like, listen,
Like,
there's- they don't prevent you from making bad mistakes.
You can do my path again. I want to see me.
And
Someday
younger
you
form.
could be here. It's all right, man. Sure.
Oh
If you
man!
say so.
Funny enough, his buddy was supposedly a 3-star Michelin chef as well from Chicago.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
and ended up in a homeless shelter as well. So
Well, I
That's
mean,
sad.
I guess, yeah.
I mean, I don't think he was telling the truth,
Sure.
right? But
I mean, he might have been. There's a slew. I mean, about his friend being a 3-star chef.
yeah.
There's a slew of reasons which can cause you to be homeless, but
Well,
I mean,
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always find it weird when, like, I would never think to give advice to anybody who's doing better than me in life, because I'm like, who the fuck am I, right? And that's always fascinating to me. Even like people, I think open micers have this a lot, including myself. When I first started doing this, like even this time around, where I was just giving people, I was like, this is how you should tell this joke, and they're like, who the fuck are you? And I'm like, all right, never mind. Let me stop doing this. Let me stop giving unsolicited advice.
So that's
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
That kind of shit, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I always find that fascinating. when
That is
people,
interesting to think
yeah.
about. Yeah, people tend to do that a lot. Everyone wants to be like he always says. Everyone wants to be heard, and
Yeah.
so like when you give advice, it's like maybe I'm making some kind of impact, right? Or
Yeah.
somebody's listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody does want to,
And
want to be heard.
Homeless people probably really want to be heard.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them are also like mentally
Yeah.
not all there.
Schizo
and
or-
that's- yeah.
I don't think he was schizo, but
Okay.
he's definitely Well, I'm glad you're not a Freemason. I'm glad I'm not a
I am
Freemason,
not.
and
Yeah.
we can join forces that way. But
Was Bill Burr not big in 2008? He when did his
He was big in New York, but he wasn't not nearly as big as he is now.
wasn't an international star?
No. He was coming
Damn.
up though.
So he was in his 30s, right? Or
I don't know how old he was.
like
how old
he's
he
like
was, but-
50 something now.
Yeah, I guess he was. Yeah, it must have
Interesting.
been.
he said he was sleeping on a couch till he was 40.
Bill Burr was?
That's what he said, something like that.
No, I don't think that.
He was on the Chappelle
I think
show in
he
the
had
2000s.
he had a line about that. He said, "I'd rather sleep on a futon, alone, than be in like a big bed with someone I hate, like
Interesting.
in like a
Okay.
relationship. Like he's like, I'd rather be in like a small studio apartment by myself,
Yeah.
sleeping on a futon, than in like some big house with some woman
okay.
I just
I didn't hear that.
do not get along. Yeah, I think it was something along those lines. He worded it much better.
Is
but
he your goat? Do you have a goat?
Uh.
You have a
My
list of
favorite
goats?
is Chris Rock. Chris Rock's my favorite comic. I think the best comic is Chappelle.
Mm.
Interesting. Who do you think is the best is Chappelle in your opinion?
Yeah.
Your
I think
favorite
he's
is
so
Rock.
much higher than even number 2.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like there's number 2, and then like he's even way higher.
So is
than
Chris Rock your number 2?
that. No, my number 1 is Chris Rock.
Okay.
My favorite comic is Chris Rock, but I don't think he's the best
yeah.
in comedy.
I get you.
I think Chappelle is just like so much further ahead than everybody else.
I've been recently watching more Chris Rock stuff, and he's funny as fuck,
Yeah.
but he has an eerie like look about him. I've talked about this before, but when I look at him, I feel like there's some evil in him. I don't know why. Like his smile, the way his eyes are piercing. I'm like, something wrong here, dude. I don't know.
I've never noticed that specifically, but
Look at his smile.
Is he because he's one of those? You know,
Well,
is it?
I don't feel that way about
Because he got
Chappelle.
slapped by Will Smith? Is it the slap?
Maybe.
The slap made him more.
Yeah, maybe the
Made out
slap
the
made
devil
him
in him?
evil, bro.
I don't.
The
I've
slap
s-
definitely reinvigorated him, though.
Yeah.
I think in comedy, 100%.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely
Right.
helped him. As a comic, you need a little bit of like adversity to
Yeah.
be like really good. I think.
He's handsome in person.
Chris
Like,
Rock's
He
handsome?
looks. He is. I think he has a presence. He has a presence.
Oh yeah, he definitely.
Yeah.
Chris Rock has a presence. You could tell. You know, he has charisma. Maybe the devilish kind of charisma, but like he has charisma. He's
Do you feel like he has this like
he has a presence. Yeah.
oh no like this weird look to him? Like I'm saying.
Yeah, when he laughs, my mom noticed that too.
Oh, she noticed
when
that
my mom
too.
saw Chris Rock for the first time, she was like, "What the hell?
Yes.
This dude look a little weird." Yeah. Every comedian looks a little weird. Look at me. I look a little weird.
Yeah.
Yudhi looks, you know. Yeah, we both look
I'm
weird.
sure-
Yeah.
I'm sure I
You
look
know?
weird as
That's
shit.
how we all hang out together, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. My goat
Who-
is. Go ahead. What are you gonna say?
No, who? I mean, is there a decent looking? Well, Matt Rife is.
Matt Rife though just looks weird. A little weird though.
He
There's
does.
something like he doesn't look like a normal.
Well, he also got a bunch of surgeries and shit.
Did he?
Did he
So he
really?
did, right?
Yeah.
You could tell because when I saw him, I was like,
Like what? Like face work?
Yes.
What the fuck?
Yeah, if you look at young Matt Rife, and I mean, like younger Matt
Okay.
Rife, but you look at him now, and they're like, yeah, he's definitely had some work done, which in itself weird as shit.
Yeah.
Because if you're like a decent looking dude, then on top of that, like if I showed up one day with like a nose job, people would be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, yo, what are you doing?
just a perfect Kim Kardashian.
Yeah,
random
exactly.
person.
Just like that nose that points up a little bit. People are like, yo, what's
I'm
what is up?
auditioning to be a Kardashian boyfriend.
It's so weird to be okay, especially as a guy, because women have a whole different slew of like,
Yeah.
you know, in Hollywood, yeah, you have to.
Insecurities, yeah.
I'm not even insecurities, like standards that they have to
Mhm.
relevancy and all that shit that they struggle with, right? Not relevancy. I'm trying like in the industry
Okay.
specifically. So
They have a pressure to look beautiful.
exactly.
Yes.
Thank you for stating that. Where I
course.
couldn't for like the last 4 sentences. But as a guy in comedy, if you're vain, that's so fucking weird to me.
It is kind of strange.
It's so weird to me. Like I have a weight problem. I'm like, I need to get in better shape,
Yeah.
but I'm not like, oh man, I really
Right.
need my
You're
you
not,
know
like,
whatever.
super insecure to do.
Yeah, I'm like,
something
I
weird
need
about it. Yeah, yeah,
surgery
I
to get. Yeah, I'm like,
You won't
that.
take Ozempic?
No, I
Okay.
refuse to. I lost weight
I
on my
respect
own
that.
before, and
Yeah,
I'll do
yeah.
that again.
Respect.
But
You won't be like Drake, who he got ab surgery, right, or something.
yeah, that's
What?
that's weird
apparently,
too. I'm like, what are you doing?
apparently,
Allegedly.
allegedly,
Yeah.
allegedly, yes.
And even that's weird to me. I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
you're already at this high
the
level of
guy.
like everybody, all these women flock to him, love his music, love him for all that stuff, and then like on top of that, you're like, yeah, you know, it's still not good enough.
What does that even mean?
It's-
So they implant fucking
No.
silicone in your abs?
No, no,
They
they
reduce fat, right?
they remove the fat, and then I think from
Okay.
what I heard is like they remove the fat from the around the area, so your abs just sort of like pop out more.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is
He could
retarded.
just hire like a personal trainer and
Yes.
give him or her like 100,000.
lazy, bro. What
Yeah.
the?
Again,
Oh,
I don't know if this is for
allegedly.
sure. Allegedly,
Yeah.
Kendrick should have made fun of him for
Hey,
that.
watch out, he
Yeah.
might sue. All right, but
Yeah, he might do a Gen Z Speaks podcast. I don't know. For libel,
be
bro. Imagine we get
hilarious.
sued by Drake. Actually, I want him to sue us, bro. That'd be perfect.
That'd be great exposure.
that actually would be great.
You
know what? He did it.
You know who's a normal looking comedian?
Who?
Theo Vaughn.
No.
Just fucking
No. By any Theo Vaughn might be the weirdest looking comedian.
Chappelle said something once. He said if you're not was it Chappelle or maybe Neil Brennan? I think Neil Brennan said it. That if you're when he's casting people to be in like a show or movie or whatever, he's like, even if you're not attractive, you got to at least be interesting looking.
Yeah. That's
Actually, I
true.
think Neil Brennan said that. Chappelle said that. Anyway, whatever.
yeah.
I disagree with that.
that is a
Yeah.
good point. I think so. You
I
have to have a
disagree.
look.
You gotta be at
Interesting
least
looking?
Interesting looking. Like you have to at least appear looking. You have to look interesting.
What does that even mean? Interesting looking.
There, like something specific about
No, I
you,
get it, but it's
yeah.
just such a broad term. I don't know.
It is a broad term, but like you can tell sometimes where you're like, oh, that person's not attractive, but they're not ugly. You know what I mean?
There's
Like,
something to them.
There's something to them.
What's
And
that
that's-
dude's name?
That's
from The
that
Bear?
interesting thing.
What's that guy's name? Jeremy Allen
Jeremy
White. Yeah, like
something,
he's
yeah.
he's not like a good looking guy, but girls flock to him, right? He has
Yeah.
like something weird, interesting about his face.
I don't think the face can matter, but if you're really funny, it doesn't matter what you look like, in my opinion.
Oh, and
Well,
comedy.
it shouldn't. It shouldn't. But
Yeah, I don't think
that's
it matters.
that's kind of what draws a lot of people to comedy, also, right? Like, oh yeah, I don't have to be like the only thing that matters is how funny I am, and that goes back to my point where like when comics started being vain about what their looks, and I was like, what are you doing? What the fuck you
Yeah.
doing?
So it's for sure Matt Rife has done surgery because he does look like it.
Yeah, from what I've heard, he had like his jawline.
Really?
Yeah, that and then
Yeah, when you look at him, does he look like Ned?
I never
his
thought. I thought
definitely
it
his
was
teeth,
natural.
but everybody gets their teeth done.
Keith, I don't blame, bro.
I don't blame that
Like,
either. That's most of my teeth are not my teeth.
Oh, like veneers.
Yeah, but not
Oh.
because I was again. It wasn't because I was vain. I had this weird accident when I was a kid
Okay.
that knocked out like 2 of my teeth right here.
Oh,
okay.
so you had to.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair.
I had to get them, but I had this trauma inside that turned into a whole bigger thing. And then at one point, they're like, "You need surgery right now, or all your teeth. You're gonna lose your upper jaw."
Oh man.
What?
Yeah. There was like a
How did this
cyst. There was
happen?
like a cyst growing in there from the accident, and then
What was the accident, may I ask?
I was just riding my bike. I
Okay.
hit like a trash can, and I just
On,
Aye.
the, curb
on
or
the
something?
pavement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then that caused some kind of like injury inside, and then
That's
that
a freak
stewed,
accident.
yeah, and then
Wow.
stewed for years and years, and they're like, "Hey, it's gonna." So that caused a
you
lot of
fell
my
head
upper
first,
teeth
yeah.
to just get fucked up,
Uh-huh.
and then I had to get a lot of them.
Replaced.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
anytime somebody's like, "He have a really lovely smile," I'm like, "Thank you. It's very expensive."
It's-
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
No, a lot of people do get veneers though. Just
Sure.
because
because yeah,
that honestly, it weirds me out, to be honest. Like,
if they get them just for the sake of like,
well, the doling of the teeth, they have to dole down the teeth and
Yeah.
then put another tooth on there.
yeah,
So it's like, what weirds me out is your actual tooth is now a stub.
yeah,
It's not even. That's freaky.
yeah.
That is a freaky thing to think about, dude. You take the fucking veneers out, and you're like
Well,
an
you
old
don't take
man
them out.
Well, yeah,
they
but
stay.
They stay.
You're not supposed to take them out. It's
Do you
funny to
have to
me.
replace them?
No,
Oh, never. You'll never. Have
no.
To,
I mean, as long as you take care of them, I think
Okay.
you're supposed to be good for like the rest of your life.
yeah.
Now, it's funny to me. Ever since I got a bunch of mine put in,
Mm.
is I'll be watching a movie from like the 14, like when it's set in the 1400s or something. I'm like,
Okay.
well, that's clearly a fake tooth. That's not. Like, yeah, it's funny to see that then.
Yeah.
But
The most normal looking comedian, or actually a person who does not look like a comedian at all, is too handsome in my opinion, is Hassan Minhaj. Like when you
Yeah.
look at him, you don't think comedy. You think like news, or I think like
what do you think of his comedy?
I like Hassan. I like Hassan.
Yeah.
I like his comedy.
Yeah.
I think he did inspire me in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I don't think he's like my goat though. Yeah.
No, no,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course not.
It's good though. Yeah. I think it's evolved. Like I saw his
Sure.
latest special.
Yeah.
It was really good, man. His
Okay.
latest special
I gotta
was
watch it.
probably his best one.
Okay.
Like you see the evolution of like comedians, right?
Yeah,
Like
of
the
course.
first specials, they talk about themselves, their family, and then they talk about like interesting topics with a bunch of nuance. You know, like
Yes.
they bring their own nuance to it, and
You know-
that's when comedy really hits.
You know Mike Sasson, of course.
Yeah.
He said something fascinating the other day. He said when comics start out, they're talking about they're just trying to talk about whatever gets them a laugh, and then you're like you got an hour in, you got like an hour, and then it's time for your second hour, and you're like, all right, well I got to dig deeper, and the third hour you got to dig even deeper than that, and by the time you get to your third, fourth, fifth hour, you then you really start getting into like analyzing yourself and like looking at like, all right, who am I as a person that I can what can I make funny,
Mhm.
and that applies to like all comics. So like if you listen to old like Louis C.K. stuff, it's so different from like who he is today,
Mm.
and it's so
It's
like
an evolution.
the evolution.
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
There's
that.
definitely an
So,
evolution in comedy, and
Yeah, as long as the comic wants to keep getting better.
right.
You get better with age. It's one of the only art forms where performative art forms where you get better with age.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
true, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't think about
and
it like
acting
that.
too, I think.
Acting,
Yeah.
yes, acting, and
Acting as well,
comedy.
Yeah.
More
Yeah.
experience you get, I think,
Yeah.
the more things you can talk about, right? And the more things you realize, and yeah, it's interesting.
Would you
If-
ever act?
I do it for the sake of comedy. I'll do whatever for comedy. But,
Comedy's your
like,
first love.
I want to be a stand-up comic,
Mm.
like as a career. So if somebody's like, "Hey, this will help you get more eyes on your comedy,"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Let's do it. Let's go."
Whatever it is.
But acting's never been my, not even something I thought about like doing. It's not my like.
Oh wow.
Yeah, if I can, I made some little skits with my friends, and working on like directing those was really fun. I'm like, that's something I definitely would want to do.
Behind the
Work
camera.
on, yeah, like
Interesting.
write some stuff and work on some stuff like that. I think that's fascinating to me.
Awkward silence number 1.
Well, I was thinking, have you written anything for that purpose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've written
okay.
some-
Have you shot anything?
Yeah.
Oh,
I got to
okay.
edit it and put it out.
Yeah.
I shot some like little sketch there, like 4 or 5 minutes long and all
Okay.
that stuff. I have I have a slew of unfinished works. I have this series I've been thinking of writing, book series for forever,
Okay.
and I've written some parts of it, and then it's always changing and all that shit. And I got to work on that. I have this hip opera I want to write. That
Hip opera.
Yeah,
What is that?
like Hamilton, pretty much.
Okay.
So it's like hip hop.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
Musical.
Yeah.
Musical, but like with hip hop. And
wow. It's a cool name.
I've been working on that for some years as well. I gotta find time to actually like work on
Yeah.
it. But like there's something I want to do with that. So I have a bunch of these different like things I do actually want to work on.
Yeah.
In terms of
Everything
that.
takes time, right? It
Everything's
just,
yeah.
it just moves and moves. And then
Yeah.
I think that's part of like the whole process, right? You started 2.5 years ago, and now you're at a point. Okay, maybe I can venture into this space, and that'll
Yeah.
give me more exposure or whatever.
Yeah. My current goal in comedy is to. I always ask comics. I'm like, what are your long-term, short-term goals for comedy? So my right now my short-term goals are like to be more personal on stage.
More personal on stage.
Yeah, because like I said earlier, I'm like, so far all my shit's just been like, hey, I'm clever, right?
Yeah.
See how clever this is? This is a clever thought I had, which I'm like, all right, people got it.
Yeah.
I got it. Like, let's try to dig deeper and be more like, hey, here's who I actually am, and here's what I'm.
So do you
a little bit
struggle being more personal with people in general?
No.
Okay. Then what
I
is
don't.
it?
about. That's a good question. I'm not sure what it is on stage. I'm not quite sure what it is on stage. It's just, I think, part of it is like getting over the jitters. Part of it is just being confident on stage and like being comfortable enough to talk about certain things. And I think I've reached that point where I'm like, oh, okay, I know how to get a laugh, and I can. Okay, well, part of it is when I first started, I was trying to be super personal off the bat,
Oh, okay.
and then if you're as a someone who's brand new, and then that bombs, you're
Yeah.
like, oh god, this is horrible.
Yeah, interesting.
And then you sort of withdraw. And I'm like, all right, let's not ever talk about that again. And now I'm like, all right, so there's certain topics, certain things about myself that I like, funny stories or interesting stories where I'm like, let me hold off until I become a better comic to even approach this on stage. So I think now I'm like, all right, let's start to do some of that.
But you have the ideas that you're like, okay,
Oh,
this would kill.
yeah.
Okay.
It's just
Kick-ass.
some things that
There you
I
go.
think I'm like, this would be a fascinating thing to.
Yeah.
If I can make this funny, I can turn this into like a really good bit.
That seems like a lot of pro comedians, right?
Yeah.
The biggest things that hits are the like self-deprecating humor almost, right?
Yeah,
There's
the most
something
personal stuff.
most personal stuff. It
Yeah.
always hits.
Yeah.
Because people can relate to it, right?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Relatability.
if you're going through something, guaranteed 10 more people in the room are going through the same thing,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Millions.
Yeah.
Millions, yeah.
Martin Scorsese has a saying, the most personal is the most creative.
Yes.
And I think it's 100%
It
true.
is. If you look at great art, you can really see like the artist's soul in there. And I have a hard time equating comedy with art, but it is an art form. But
It's art.
It is art, but it's just like, like Van Gogh painting whatever, and,
Sure.
and then be like, hey, here's my dick joke. It's like, all right,
Yeah, there's depth to it. You
Yeah.
can't-
There's depth to
There's variety.
yeah.
One of the best advices that reminded me as you were talking about being more personal that I got was from Jay Farrow. He said, "Be more naked on stage." He said, "Literally be naked. Like, not physically, but you
Yeah, yeah.
have to have that.
Put yourself out
mentality.
there.
You have
Be
to
vulnerable.
be vulnerable.
You
Because
gotta
if
be
you're not vulnerable, it's just gonna take you longer to figure things out.
Do you think it would help if you were naked on stage?
Probably. Yes.
It would not help me. I mean, I'd get more laughs, but
Yeah, I think
maybe not the laughs I want.
it's
Well,
hard
that's
being
allowed.
vulnerable, bro. Because it's something
hard.
I can share something with you, right?
Yeah.
But then if I have like 30 people in the audience also
It's more
listening to that,
uncomfortable.
it's like it's just something about that intimacy. You know,
Yeah.
you're just like, whoa, I don't want this person, this person, this person, this person, that person, that person, and that person, and then looking at their reactions as you're saying it. So like
Yeah.
if you're like still nervous, one bad like body language cue can throw you off. Like if you see somebody like raise their eyebrows when you say something, you're like, oh
Yeah.
shit. What did I say wrong? You know, but they could just be thinking or processing it differently than the person they're sitting next to. So
Yeah.
you get in your head. The key is
Do you
not getting.
incorporate any personal humor?
Yeah. I've gotten way more personal now.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I still struggle with that, you know,
Sure.
like opening up on stage and
Yeah.
being more personal. But yeah,
Mm.
definitely. The most personal stuff is the money. As in like that really is the heart of your comedy.
Yeah.
Because what makes you unique, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody has similar takes on like politics or Trump.
Right.
Sure.
Like if you look at any like political issue, a lot of comedians have similar takes on
So,
it.
yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
whenever
Right.
something happens in the news, there's gonna be like 40 people who have the
same
same
exact
take.
Yeah,
bit.
true.
you know?
Which I think as a comic, it's also your job to be like, all right, this is the first thing I thought of, so that means this is also the first thing that everybody else thought of.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So I shouldn't talk about this. Dig deeper.
Deeper.
Look at a different angle. Try to. I have a bit. My opening bit. I've been doing that for about a year.
Okay.
Mhm.
Never fails to get a laugh. Not in like. There's never been a single show I've done where it hasn't gotten a laugh.
Okay.
It's a quick, short little story, but whatever. I mean, I'm not. But the bit is a quick,
Yeah.
short story. It's very unique. It's a true story. It's based on something that happened to me in Vegas. Where I was drunk, whatever. But I thought I was like, oh, this is maybe the best thing I've written, and I resented it a little bit because I mean, I'm saying best thing I've written because it never fails to get a laugh.
Mm.
It always gets a laugh. So I'm like, oh, I got to write stuff as good to try to,
Right.
you know, that's how I'd like it to be. And I thought it was so unique to me. And just the other day, I found a comic who touched on literally all of the same things,
Okay.
same sort of, I mean, the big laughs that I get,
Yeah.
he got laughs on those same big points, and it's such a similar bit to his. This guy's on the East Coast somewhere we've never met, but I was like, oh, here it is. Here's something I thought was so unique. I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, here's something I wrote that was really good. It's like, yeah, it's somebody else has the same thing, man. It's because
Yeah.
there's only
That is a
only
trip.
so many like life experiences to pull from,
Right.
and we end up doing similar things. So you gotta, and then that comes back to the part of like, hey, keep digging. Like, you'll
Right.
find more stuff. There'll be other things to talk about and make funny.
Do you know that actually? When I look at some of the big comedians, I had some bits that I wrote, and I didn't know about like these big comedians had similar takes on
Sure.
it. But when I heard it, I was like, okay, I have something
Yeah.
because if I'm able to,
Exactly.
if they're able to see it and I'm able to see it, I
Yeah.
have that observational cue.
Yes.
You know, so
Yeah,
I was like,
I'm
okay,
thinking along the same lines as them. That means I definitely am on the right
I'm
track.
on the right, exactly.
Yeah.
That means like definitely because they've made it. I'm not even gonna go in that
Of course not,
territory.
no.
But
Once
like
you've
you
heard-
know,
yeah.
I'll give myself some props because I was
Absolutely.
like I thought of the exact same thing
Yeah.
what this comedian thought of. You know,
And
I
that
was
this
like, okay,
this established comedian felt was good enough to put on
exactly.
a special, or at least publicly like talk about it. It's like, okay, well, cool. I'm on the right track. I'm thinking along the same lines as the greats. Which, I mean, whatever like encouragement you can get in comedy, it's
need it.
fucking golden. You're like, I'll take it. I'll take wherever I can
That
get.
is a tough path, dude.
It's hard.
Comedy's a tough
It's
path.
hard, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun too.
It's
Um,
it's a huge thing because so many jokes don't make it into specials. You
Yeah.
know, these comedians tour comedy clubs.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
testing stuff, and there's so many great jokes that just don't make it because they're like, well, it just didn't get 100% of laughter at a comedy
Yeah.
club. Like it gets 60, 70%. I'm looking for 100%.
Yeah,
boom,
fair.
boom, boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom.
Yeah.
So yeah,
They have to do it though.
what's up?
They have to do that. They have to get the 100% laughs.
So,
They do.
depends on which
The
comedian.
thing is, it depends on what you're trying to do. So, like, I haven't watched the Jamie Foxx special like we talked about, but you said there's moments of silence, right? There's moments where he's crying and all that stuff. So, like, you can't say that's a bad special because of that.
No,
because
no.
he was aiming for something else. He
Yeah.
wasn't just like, hey, I'm gonna make you laugh
Right.
front to start to finish. He's like, I'm gonna make you feel something. Right, that was his goal. Like, hey, I'm feeling this, and I'm going to be vulnerable on stage, and hopefully you feel that, you empathize with me.
He's also at that level, right, where
Yeah.
people will empathize with him just because he's Jamie Foxx.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's already proven. Yeah.
But
If you did
so
that,
it
would
just
you
depends on what
advise-
your
my
goals are.
starting special.
I know, you
I'm
start
just
crying
weeping
on
the first 10 minutes. No laughs. What the hell is this? War trauma?
Who the hell is this guy? That would be gold, bro.
This is the first ever crying special where I just make you
I wouldn't
cry,
say the
cry,
first one.
cry.
There's been a few of those too. We were like, yo, what are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been a couple of those.
There's a few shows up. I'm like, what is this guy doing, bro? It's kind of
Yeah.
like
Specials?
not specials, no, just people on stage.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
We
yeah.
see that all the time.
Bro,
I was thinking about that. I was like, man, how much bad comedy do we have to watch?
Yeah.
More than anybody else. We got to watch so much bad comedy. And it's not, I don't even mean the comics themselves are bad.
yeah.
It's just that something like when you have an idea, when I have an idea, sometimes I'm going to present it. It's going to be bad.
Right.
And then other comics have to suffer through that.
100%. That's reality. Yeah.
Like, hey, this is bad. I'm sorry, but I'm
Yeah.
working on it.
But there's some things I'm like, what was this guy going like? What was he
Yeah.
thinking to even think this was
Yeah.
halfway decent? You know, that's like
The thing is,
I
is-
can understand a bad joke. I can understand a bad
Yeah.
joke, but some things are just like, brother, this is just fucking weird. Like this is just awkward weird. Yeah.
There's a bunch of those,
There's
those
a bunch-
weirdos where people are like, yeah, man, you gotta,
You gotta check yourself,
yeah.
bro. Look in a mirror, man.
it's like a sport, bro. I've been thinking comedy as I play cricket more. It's like a sport, you know. Like if you're practicing basketball, you miss 50 to 60% of your shots.
Yeah.
Literally, you miss, which means you fail. You
Yeah.
didn't score the bucket. Technically, you fail. So look at it's the same thing in comedy. Like most of the shots you shoot, you're gonna fail.
Yeah.
They're just not gonna hit. But the key is to keep shooting. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You-
Sometimes
you-
you'll airball. It'll be horrible, right? But you keep going. So
who are your favorites? We
my
touched on that.
favorite. I personally, in terms of, I saw Trevor Noah live for the
Okay.
first time this year. I have never seen anybody like that on stage in
Really?
my life.
What made him unique?
Not that I've seen every single
Sure,
great
sure.
comedian,
But from the ones you've seen.
dude, my cheeks literally hurt
Yeah.
after that show. Like I was telling him,
Oh,
I
you met
did
him backstage?
physically hurt. Like just watching. I saw him at the Hollywood Bowl,
Okay.
15 to 20,000 people. My cheeks literally hurt, bro, for 30 minutes after the show. Like
Wow.
I died laughing.
Really?
I've never had that reaction watching anybody on stage like that.
Hmm.
So for me, right now, like my goat is Trevor Noah.
Really?
Trevor Noah, Bill Burr.
That's your goat?
That's my goat. I think right
Wow.
now, like Trevor Noah. Yeah, he just looks at things in a way that I don't even think Dave Chappelle does. I'll just say it like right now, like straight up. Like I've seen Dave Chappelle's comedy, one of the greatest.
Yeah.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong. I'll respect where it's due.
It's completely
Trevor
objective.
Noah is just more educated, more well read, and looks at comedy in a way.
He's a different comedian.
They're very same level because Trevor Noah objectively right
Yeah.
now can sell more tickets than Dave Chappelle.
No, he's great. I'm just saying
Yeah.
they're different comedians, right? Their style's different.
Their style is different, but
Yeah.
they're comparable, right? Because they're both selling out stadiums. So at that level, in terms of like the,
I get okay, yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Notoriety.
yeah, like I think Trevor Noah is probably the best. I haven't seen anybody even touch his depth in comedy.
Really?
Like that's what I aspire towards, honestly.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people are surprised when I say this, but like I would tell you go watch Trevor Noah
Yeah, no,
live.
I
and,
will. I mean,
yeah,
based
like,
on that, I'm like,
okay.
I'll check out. more of his
literally,
stuff.
bro. I was just like, whoa, this is what I want to do on stage. I swear.
Yeah.
I was looking for my moment. Like, who do I really want to
No,
like
whatever
aspire
inspires you,
towards?
man. Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
can inspire
Him
you.
and Bill Burr. Bill Burr, very deep.
Sure.
Louis C.K. of course, very deep as well. But I mean,
Yeah.
like he's, I don't, you know, what the stuff that he did was just stupid and like
That was
creepy.
that was
Just
stupid.
No, it's
Yeah.
creepy. Yeah. But he's very observational as well. So
Well, a lot of people say he's still one of the greatest, though, Louis C.K.
yeah, same
terms
thing.
of comedy, yeah.
Artists, you know, you separate the artist from
From
behavior.
Art,
Yeah.
artist,
yeah.
yeah.
That's yeah.
Who's
Or
yours?
goat?
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know, bro. I've never really thought about that actually.
Your favorite comedian that you're like, wow.
I just watch and watch.
Yeah.
I don't really.
Not don't harp on that so much. Just like,
Okay.
who's somebody you just like? You're like, I would watch them right now. If they were around, you're
Mm.
like, let me go buy their tickets.
I like
You
Joe
know,
Coy.
Joe Coy.
Yeah, I like Joe Coy. He's really
Yeah.
funny to me.
Joseph.
I like yeah, I like Andrew Schultz.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't want to name the generic. Obviously,
No, they're
Dave Chappelle's
yeah.
great, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to
No,
name
whoever you like.
Yeah,
Whoever-
yeah.
My favorite.
yeah.
Currently one of my favorites, new favorites, is comedian CP. He hosts Crack 'Em Up Thursdays
Okay.
at the Comedy Store. So goddamn funny, so irreverent.
Mm.
You watch his stuff, you're like, where the hell did he come up with that? Where did he
Okay.
come up with that? And it's
Where do you see him?
Crack 'Em Up Thursdays every Thursday at the Comedy Store.
Okay.
And he's you can find his stuff all over everywhere, but he's just so goddamn funny. And like
Yeah.
I've just been I go there just to. I mean, the show in itself is like a great show.
Yeah.
Because like the lineups they have, they'll bring all kinds
It's
of
great,
comics
yeah.
from everywhere. Yeah, but he hosts that, and he's just so goddamn funny, dude.
Okay.
And he's like one of my favorites. And that same sort of thought where I was like, oh, that's how funny I'd like to be. I mean, he's been doing it for like I think like 15 years or something.
Oh, wow.
He's relatively young too, so he started very young. But yeah, I'm like, it's good to have those. It's good. That's the other great thing about comedy is like being able to go watch these guys over and over. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I get to see him take a bit and like, I was like, oh, he did it like this, a month ago, and now
Right.
he added this to it, or he's
Tweaking it.
exploring this angle of it, and I was like, that's fascinating.
I have an interesting question. Who is a comedian that is really famous, but you're like, they're just not funny? Like you've just never laughed at anything.
Yeah,
they
you're
have
like,
to
I just
say.
don't get it.
You're just like, yeah, I don't get why people think this is funny. Like, why do they have such a big audience base? Do you have any comedians like that?
Yes, I'm trying to think. I've thought about this before. Oh man, do you have one off the bat?
I can't think. I'm sure I have one. I'm sure I have a few that I can name where I'm like, yeah, I just don't get it. But comedy's completely objective.
Yeah.
I mean, subjective. So, which
Subjective. Yeah.
It's
How am I-
subjective.
subjective. Why am I getting that wrong? It's subjective. So it's like, hey, you like what you like. You don't like what you like. Jimmy Carr said something brilliant one.
comedian.
Great
Great
comedian.
writer,
Great
too.
comedian.
Yeah.
He says something. He's like, if you think I'm funny, you're right. If you think I'm not funny, you're right.
Mm.
Because it's subjective.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, I disagree. If you think I'm not funny, you're wrong. Wrong.
I guess both of us are just wrong here. We're sitting here wrong then, aren't we?
I think.
Hannah Gadsby.
I don't.
That's
know
one
this.
that's the Australian chick.
Seems familiar.
The Australian chick.
Oh, the
she-
Pitch Perfect girl?
No. Hannah Gadsby. She was the one where they were like,
The break dancer?
no.
No.
The break dancer.
That's a comedian, basically.
No, she came out like a couple of years ago, I think during the pandemic, and they're like, this is when that Chappelle special came out where like everyone turned against him because he was talking about all the trans stuff, and then they're like, hey, this chick, they were giving her like her special was rated like the highest, or like she's the best, and his was rated so low on like Rotten Tomatoes. It was like the complete opposite, where the people rated hers low,
Yeah.
and the critics rated hers high, and then Chappelle, the critics rated his like very low, and all the people were like, no, this is great. What are you
What was
talking
her
about?
name again?
Hannah Gadsby.
I'll look it up.
Seems
Who,
familiar.
who's the Brett Kreischer?
I never got her. I was like,
Bert
what is
Kreischer?
it?
Oh,
Bert Kreischer?
yes.
What's his friend's name?
Thank you.
The bald guy.
Tom Segura?
Tom
I
Segura?
don't think Tom Segura is very funny.
Really?
Tom
Yeah.
Segura? No,
Yeah.
I think it's the opposite. I don't think Bert Kreischer.
The machine joke, that was the funniest thing. I
Yeah,
seen in
that's
a
the
long
only
time.
thing though.
That is the only thing.
He made a whole movie out of it. I get it, bro.
Yes.
I get it. It was wild shit.
It was
So,
a
okay.
funny joke, bro. The
It's
first time I
hilarious.
saw it on YouTube.
It's a great joke. It's a great story. It's a
dude,
great
It's
joke.
great. No, it's
Yes.
hilarious.
Yes.
I've argued with it. I've
I
argued.
don't get anything else though.
I've argued in his favor with a lot of people
Okay.
because they're like, oh, they don't like the broiness that he puts off.
Before you, can I just say I haven't
Oh,
really
yeah.
seen that much of Bert Kreischer. I've
Sure.
seen The Machine. It's funny,
Sure.
but so my like analysis on him is limited. I will say, but go ahead.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
But I've had people who watch the special. They're like, we couldn't watch it. We turned it off. I'm like, yeah, but he's self-proclaimed party animal. He's that guy. He's that guy when you're out drinking. He's like, let's everybody drink and all that stuff, right? Like that's the energy he brings on stage. But I'm like, if you look past that at his jokes, they're very well written and they're actually like really good.
Mm.
I think that aspect of him turns a lot of people off because they're like,
taking
ah.
his shirt off and stuff.
Yeah, they're like, what's he doing? He's being like, whatever. He's.
poser, yeah.
But if you look at his jokes, they're actually pretty good. He has like good jokes, and he's very personal on stage, and he has that.
Yeah.
Now Tom Segura, I think, is one of the best.
One of the best.
I think he's one of the best.
Okay.
He's
Tom Segura is pretty good. Yeah.
he's maybe one of the he might in my opinion he's like the best deadpan comic there is.
Maybe I need to watch more of him.
Yeah.
Maybe it's very limited as well.
Yeah.
I've seen like.
Have
a
you seen
few
his
videos, but no.
I've
I've seen one special and I turn off after
Steven Seagal
like
bit?
5-10 minutes. No, I don't think so.
The Steven Seagal bit is great. He just has like a lot of really funny
Yeah.
shit.
I'm sure he is funny, right?
Yeah.
I watched a lot of times when I'm watching specials or if I'm watching like some YouTube, if it doesn't catch me like for comedy specifically
Sure.
within the first 5-10 minutes, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just
I
not
get
gonna
that.
watch this comedian
I get
again.
that.
Yeah. So it was probably one of those moments.
Sure.
But when a comedian gets me, I'm like, I
Yeah.
want to watch all of their stuff.
Yes.
It's a very strange phenomenon. But the first 5-10 minutes, it's like you either win me or you don't.
I get that.
First 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
That's
Interesting.
that's generous. To
Yeah.
watch something for like 5-10 minutes is,
Right.
and I think that's because people were like, "Yo, first minute. If you
Let's
don't
get
if
it,
you don't
yeah,
have
get
me,
me.
then
That's
I'm
TikTok
out."
now. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially with like the rising
I hate that.
of
Yeah.
that whole like the reels and all that shit, like the 1 minute reels. People
So
just don't.
sad.
Yeah, it is sad, but it is what it. But at the same time, there's podcasts that are like 2-3 hours long, and people like listen to those. And they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I want to listen to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because like we're fascinated by the conversation that's happening. So, what the hell was I gonna say?
Kreischer, I will give him. He has balls though for doing what he does. Because just taking
Yeah.
your shirt off on stage.
Yeah.
It's self-deprecating humor. It works.
Yeah, but it's like every single time like doing that.
I know.
Like
Well, people
He's
start
branded
people
himself.
start wanting that.
Yeah.
People start wanting that, and people also start. I mean, the people who like go see him, they're like, it's that expectation. Once you made that expectation, they're like, well, you better fulfill it. And he got the machine story became so big that people started yelling out the machine, and then he's like, I guess I got to do it.
Yeah.
To the point where he's been doing it for like 5-10 years now, because people are like, yeah, we really want to hear that.
Yeah.
how many years?
I don't know, 5-10, however long it's been.
I
It's-
think
it's
so,
been-
dude. I
I think it's
watched, like,
about like 10
2015.
years, dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's been around
Lord.
for a while. So
That's my worst nightmare as a comedian. Oh my god.
But it's also like if you don't do it, then you're toast.
No.
if you don't do it, you're letting
It's
down
like
the
Matthew McConaughey, bro.
Yeah.
He was doing those movies, but he was like, "No, stop this! I'm not doing it. I'm going on a hiatus, and I'm doing real drama shit. I'm getting an Oscar," and he did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to take a You have to come on, bro. 10 years. I didn't know that.
Well, I don't know if I don't know if Burt Kreischer is at the level Matthew McConaughey is in acting.
No,
either.
but I'm just saying,
That's
like,
very
if you're stuck,
different.
if you're pigeonholed as an artist, you have to take a step back and reinvent yourself. You
let
have
me
to.
ask you this. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. To improve as an artist, you gotta. There's an old saying in art: "Kill your darlings."
Okay.
Kill your darlings. Like something some of your work that you're in love with, you gotta kill it. At some point, you're like, I gotta enough. It's all time for the
Move
next
on.
thing, right? Now, there's something to be said about showmanship. There's something to be said about appeasing your fans. If your fans really want something, so on a much smaller scale, I had some friends come out to one of my shows
Told me about this. Yeah.
a few months ago, and then he brought a bunch of other friends to the show that happened a month after that. And each time I'm like, I gotta do some new stuff, and I have high standards for my own. I have standards for myself, which I am like, I gotta meet these standards for it to be funny, and I gotta do whatever it takes to get there, whatever amount of practice to get to that level of funny that I think is presentable at this show. And anyway, so I switch out jokes. I try to the Seinfeld, Bill Maher. They were on a podcast recently. They were talking about Seinfeld had given him some advice. He's like, hey, 70-30. 70% old stuff, 30% new. You should at least aim for that in your shows. So I try to stick by that rule. So I'm like, try to have at least 30% new material. I did some new material, and after the show, I'm talking to my friend, and he's like, oh, I'm like, thank you for coming out. Thank you for bringing all your friends. He's like, oh, you didn't do that one joke. I told him all about that. We were waiting for you to do that joke. So it becomes that. If people are like, oh, they tell their buddies about it. They're like, yo, you don't know how good this guy is. He has this joke. It kills. And then aren't you doing them a disservice by not doing that joke? Because it's not like he's putting that out in every one of his specials. But when he's doing shows, he does his material. And then at the end, he's like, hey, here's the machine story. Because you guys want it.
Here's where I would say to that. I understand where you're coming from, but I understand starting off, yeah, sure. If people are coming, doing bringer shows, yeah, like you gotta do jokes to, get people to consistently come out to your shows. But if you're at a certain level,
yeah,
I think as an artist, you earn that stature of being like, no, you don't get to tell me what I perform on stage. I say that, and then you guys collectively either like it or dislike it. You know, like for your instance, I would say like. For Bert Kreischer's instance, like I would say, like tell us a story on stage that is the equivalent of the machine story.
That was extremely difficult.
But I think it's doable. If he's done it before, he can do it again. That's the way I look at things. Like I'm always trying to like just one up it.
But he's not that guy anymore.
You don't think so? I think he can be.
he's not the wild college party guy he was
So then reinvent yourself.
back then.
Yeah.
Now he's a dad.
Dad
He's
bod,
a dad
yeah.
whose kids are in college. Who's like, you're. It's what am I trying to
It's
equate?
easier
He's
said
also-
than done. Yeah.
He's also maybe just like not trying to level up like that. He's famous and he's cruising. There's nothing wrong with it. People
Yeah,
are still
yeah.
paying. People like it.
Yeah,
Maybe he's not like the Matthew McConaughey. It's
Here's
okay.
what I'm.
It's not he's on the Matthew McConaughey comedy.
Man, this guy loves Matthew McConaughey. I love Interstellar. It's one of my favorite movies. I just want to go see it again. So I get.
Yeah, he was
watched
on
it?
IMAX, right?
Yeah, it was an IMAX.
Yeah. Damn, I want to see that.
I know.
This is like my sixth time going to see them. I fucking love that movie.
That's a great movie. By the way, Jerry Seinfeld's another one. I don't care for.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know.
Jerry?
That's
No.
extremely unpopular opinion. But
I don't think
have-
it is. I don't think it is. I think a lot of, especially
Really?
like, how old are you guys?
24.
24. Okay, so I think especially within your generation, not at all an unpopular opinion.
Oh,
I see a lot of people who are like, yeah, I don't care. I don't care if it's
Dude,
comedy.
Jerry is
I've
so
heard people that
deep.
like him.
I love Jerry.
If you're a comedian, there's certain comics who are comics. Seinfeld's definitely one of those. Like if as a comic, if you're working on it, you're like, man, the way he gets to that point is brilliant.
Okay.
David Tell is one of those.
David,
comics.
I was just gonna say.
If you watch Tell, you're like, he got there and it was right there, and he's just so prolific. He's so brilliant. He got there before anybody else. And Colin Quinn's another one of like. There's comics who are like,
Colin Quinn.
That just
okay,
get it.
yeah, that just so brilliant and so prolific in their own right, and you can see like they have a whole other hold on the art form that you're like, you can only aspire to that.
Yeah.
In terms of going back to Kreischer a little bit, he's not taking anything away from his audience because if he's doing an hour, he's not like, hey, here's 45 and then here's 15 of the machine. He does the hour and then he's like, also here's the machine at the end because people want it. It's kind of like going to see your favorite artist, your in terms of
They
music.
know their favorite songs.
Yeah, and then like they want to do their new stuff because they're tired of the old songs or because they're like, what they're like, hey, here's the
Gotta
new
give 'em-
stuff.
I see.
But they have to put it in some of the old stuff too. I think that's so.
But Drake isn't singing God's Plan when you go see him. Like
But
has
he's got
new
so
albums.
many bangers.
Yeah, exactly.
But also, Burt Kreischer isn't the Drake. of
No, I get
comedy.
that. I get
Yeah.
that. I just think in general, if you're an artist, any
Maybe
comedian,
compare Kodak Black to.
Kodak Black to
Yeah,
Burt
to Burt
Kreischer. Burt Kreischer's the Kodak Black of comedy. I don't even know a single Kodak Black song. Oh,
Patty Cake.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's probably the only one I've ever listened to.
You're right. There's different tiers to
Machine,
comedy
yeah.
for sure. Like
Yeah.
sports, right? Like Michael
That's the
Jordan.
same concept.
It's
Yeah.
some NBA players have 0 championships.
Yeah.
And they're still.
I think
pro, though.
it's just once you get, once you just get that request so many times,
You're just gonna do it.
you're like, yo, either I can fight this or I can embrace this
Yeah.
and be like, yo, let's go, let's do this.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I personally don't like. I went to see what's her name? It's the Asian lady.
Ali Wong.
No, not Ali Wong. She did the nail polish bit
Oh,
years ago. I forgot her name, dude. I love
Margaret
this.
Cho,
No, she's like
Atsuko something.
No,
She's an Asian comedian.
she's an eight. Yeah, she's like Crypto Jail. You like Crypto Jail? Have you seen that?
I don't think
This
I
was
have.
maybe 20 years ago. She did this. Regardless.
Whoa.
Sorry. She's not Asian. She's what am I talking about, bro? She's Mexican.
You racist.
She's
How do you get Mexican and Asian confused,
I was
bro?
just, for some reason I was thinking of the accent and I'm thinking
Oh,
Asian
okay.
one's doing this, but no, it's a Mexican girl. Her name is Angela Johnson.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
you know
yeah,
Angela
yeah,
Johnson?
Yeah.
I think that joke was hilarious when I
It's
saw it
very
on
funny.
YouTube first time.
Yeah.
But I went to go see her, and yeah, I was kind of happy she did it. But I was also like, I've seen this so many times now. It's
Yes.
like, okay, you can create something different. Yeah, that was another thing for sure.
I like. I think it was Samuel was talking about this. He said one of the things he does is it might have been it might have been somebody else, but I could have sworn I heard him say he's like at the end of the show he's like, hey, what bits do you guys want to hear?
Mm.
And then people yelled him out. He's like, all right, let me do the old ones.
I'm like you, kind of. That's a good point you brought up. So when I see comedy for the first time, I'm always like dying laughing.
Yeah.
But then when I see the second time, I'm like, ha ha ha. I see the laughter.
Yeah.
But the third time, I'm just like, cool story.
Yeah.
Like I die. It's not like music where I'm
Yeah.
just like, it feels
So
the
for-
same way,
Music evokes an emotion within you that's tied to nostalgia.
Mm,
And comedy, I've always looked at it as like
it's fresh.
it's like watching a mystery movie.
Yes.
You watch a mystery movie, and at
Yes.
the end, the mystery is revealed, and you're
Yes.
watching it again.
Great
you're like, yeah, I
analogy.
already know what happens.
Mm.
I know where this is gonna go. So there's not that like suspense. There's none of that like,
Yes.
oh my god, where's this going? Because it's already been revealed.
Yeah.
So I don't like when comics come to my bringer shows or whatever, or even shows, comic buddies. I mean, I'm super supportive that they're there, but I'm always like, they've heard all of it before, man. Like it sucks. Even okay, so I had a show in Lancaster. It was like a backyard show, a really fun show. Lancaster,
Florida.
And I did that. I did another version of that show back in October, and right as I get introduced, right as I'm about to go up on the stage, this one lady goes, "Oh, you should watch." He's like, "Oh, he's really good. Watch what he does." And I'm like, that means she's heard it all before. You know what I mean? I don't have
Gotcha.
a brand new 10 that
Yeah.
I'm gonna do, so I'm like, I have some new jokes. It'll be
Yeah.
like half new, half old stuff. But even then, I'm like, she's heard it all before.
I
And, like,
understand that.
It
Okay.
that part it sucks so much because you're like, I don't want you to be bored. Like, oh yeah, and then it goes back to the other thing I was talking about earlier. Like, some people want to hear the same stuff again.
Mm.
Like, oh, that and then if you can switch it up, I think it's a constant battle of like remaining presenting it as fresh stuff. If you can have like new jokes in your old bits, if you can have new tags, new like little things in it, I think even that people like. Now, if you're doing something, if you have the same act start to finish and you're doing that for like 20 years or something, then you're just like, yo, what are you doing?
Mm.
Like, write something new.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the things that there was a bit of criticism towards Jay Leno about that, because he never put out a special. He's like, why would I want to put out my act out there
Mm.
for everybody to see? It's like, so you can write new stuff. He's like, I'm writing new stuff all the time. So his thing is, he's like, it's an hour. He'll take out something that doesn't work, add something else in there that works, and just do that
Jigsaw
over the
it.
years until it like he just has this like perfect kind of an hour that he thinks or whatever. But I'm like, I don't know. Don't you get tired of that at some point?
Yeah.
He's never done a special.
He's never done a special. Not a single one.
So how did he get big? Just talk show.
Yeah.
Talk show. He was one of the most edgy comics of his time and one of the most prolific ones. And then he got that talk show, and then he just
Killed it.
Yeah, he
How is he prolific though if he hasn't put out any specials? You know.
because he tours all the time. Even
Okay.
now, he's a flappers like all the time. Main room.
Oh really?
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's there all the time.
Hmm.
The Comedy Magic Club, that was his like go to. He's always on tour. He's always doing it. Even during his all the years he was doing the Tonight Show, he was still doing. He kept doing
Stand-up.
shows and tours and stuff.
Talking about that right now, it made me realize. I mean, I've never pursued comedy anyway, but I did like three what's it called, right? Open
Open
mics and then
mics, yeah.
one show. And by the time I did the show, I've practiced the jokes probably dozens of times,
Sure.
right? And I was like unenthused to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's also part of why not only I just doesn't like I love comedy in general,
Yeah.
but to be a comic it didn't really like call my attention. I think that was part I never realized until this moment right now. I was like bored of telling my own jokes. It's
It
like
happens.
yeah.
It happens.
And I didn't have the energy to continue writing more and more and more, right?
Sure.
Just to please myself almost.
Yeah.
That is fuck.
Well, that's
That happened.
So
Does
people-
that happen to you?
it happens all the time.
Okay.
It happens all the time. I two things on that. One is the opening bit I was telling you guys about. My opening bit. I did that one time at a show, and it got like an okay response. It got a laugh, but it got an okay response. And a buddy of mine was in the audience who's heard it a million times before,
Yeah.
and he talked to me afterwards. He's like, "That sounded way too rehearsed.
To rehearse.
It sounded way too rehearsed." Because he's like, you know
Gotcha,
it front
yeah.
to end.
Yes.
So I was in my head thinking like, all right, I'm gonna do this next. I'm gonna do
Structured.
this. Whatever. I was thinking about
Mhm.
the next thing, and I was just like
Yeah.
regurgitating it the way I know how it goes, because
Yeah.
you learn the beats.
Right.
You know, I'm gonna pause right here. I'm gonna inflect right here. I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
But there has to be emotion behind it.
Right.
There has to be
That's
some
difficult.
emotion about it.
Yeah.
It's difficult, but here's the thing: if 1,000 people have heard that bit so far, right?
Mm.
There's still the rest of the planet that hasn't.
Fair. Yeah.
And of that plan, you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
of that, whichever people are comedy fans who want to hear, like, there's still so many people who haven't heard it before, so you still have to present it as, what's his name? Kirk Fox said something to me. We were just talking to him at the Comedy Store, just asking for advice, and he said, "Hey, never talk at the audience, talk to them,
yeah.
because if you're talking at them, it's like there's no wall
Right.
between you and them, so talk to them."
Yeah. Yeah. Like a
Whenever,
conversation.
yeah, don't just, and that's what I've been. That's what I meant earlier about like getting more personal on stage as well. Because I'm like, a lot of my stuff has just been here's this bit,
Yeah.
and then here's this bit, and then here's this bit. It's like no, just talk to them.
Right.
However, now whatever that means to you, if you want to do crowd work, if you want to like, you as a comic, you have to react to whatever's going on in the room. If something wild happens, you have to react. If somebody yells something out, you have to
Yes.
respond to them. So like that's part of it, but also like have a bit of a conversation. If you bomb something, point it out. Like, hey, that did not go well.
Yeah.
So the other part of it is, in terms of the other thing I was going to say, was like the people say you must get this all the time. Like, oh my god, I can't believe you do comedy. It's so hard. Like, I would never do it.
Yeah.
I think true comics, there's no choice. We don't have a choice. It's like,
Just endure.
huh?
And just endure it.
No. I mean,
Or-
like, if I wasn't doing comedy, I'd be going nuts.
Okay.
That's all. Like that's your true love. Like,
Yeah.
that's your passion.
That's the thing.
If
So
not comedy, then what?
yeah, because people are like, oh, I would never be able to do this. It's like, yeah, no, there's no choice. I got to do this, and if I got to do this, if I have to do this, if this is my way of getting out my thoughts, this is my therapy, this is my whatever, all these things. To continue doing this, I got to continue writing.
Mm-hmm.
I got to continue improving. I got to continue, like, if I really want to do this, if I have no other choice, and here's the things I have to do. And I think you got to love killing more than you hate bombing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Gotta love
Yeah.
killing more than you hate
That's true.
bombing.
Yeah. And once you reach that, you're like, all right, I'm good.
Or else you'll die.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you bombing fucking sucks.
Might literally, yeah.
Yeah. It sucks. You feel awful. But if you love killing more than that, you're like, I can endure the bombs. It's okay.
Right.
It's okay. If they didn't laugh, that's fine. And a big shift happened to me about a year, maybe a little bit longer than that, about a year and a half ago, where I got okay with bombing.
Mm.
I'm like, oh, it's okay. It's fine.
Yeah.
I remember the set. I record all my sets. I remember the set specifically where it happened. I was on stage and I was like, oh, it's okay. As I'm eating shit up there, I'm like, it's okay. And I pointed and I said to the crowd, I was like, you know what? Let's sit in that silence for a little bit.
Was it a show or open mic?
It was open mic.
Open mic.
Yeah.
No, but that doesn't count, man. Open mic, if you.
Yeah, but I mean,
I
that's
feel
where
you, though.
experience-
I
feel
know,
you,
but like that's just
Yeah.
where I had the experience.
No, I feel you. Yeah.
But like once it, just up until then, it was just like nerve wracking because like you bomb and then it fucks up the rest of your set. And you're like, it all went bad.
For a year and a half, you're feeling like that. Oh,
Yeah.
all went bad. And
Eat,
then-
yeah, after the bomb, like it throws
Yeah,
the rest
throws
of
you
me
off.
off, and
I
I'm
get
like,
it.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I remember just thinking that I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
fine. It was after I heard Christy Stefanos talking about this on his podcast that he had auditioned for some late night show, and there were going to be people there to watch him
Yeah.
for that, and he didn't have a good set. He did not have a good set, but he got booked from the show anyway. And he asked him, he's like, hey, why'd you guys put me on? And they said, you bombed gracefully.
Mm.
Like, you didn't turn against the crowd. You didn't get angry. You didn't get, like, anxious. You didn't, like, none of that. You still
Just roll through.
rolled through it,
Yeah.
got through it, and still had, like,
Yeah.
still were yourself. And that's when I was like, all right, got to learn how to bomb gracefully. So now I've started compartmentalizing it when I'm on stage. I'm like, all right, this joke bombed. Okay, let's try to get him back with the next one.
Mm.
It's not like, hey, this fucks up the whole thing. It's like,
Yeah.
nah, okay, that you didn't like it. Whatever. Here's the next one.
Right.
Hopefully you like this. And that's happened too, where like half of the first half of the set just goes bad, and then the second half, I'm like, all right, we got it. Got him back.
That's what it takes.
Yeah.
I think bombing is easier if you do crowd work. If you just start talking to the crowd.
Yeah.
Like, let's say you're doing 2 or 3
There's
jokes,
ways out of it.
They're not working.
Yeah.
Start talking to the crowd.
Start talking about- yeah.
And then you'll win them back.
There's ways out of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have jokes for when I bomb.
Really?
Yeah, I have specific jokes for like when it just doesn't go well. Like there's this I have this Kamala Harris bit. I wrote this like 4 years ago, and it started working like this year.
Because more people know about it.
More people know who the hell she is, and then like I kind of figured out. I had the first half of it. I had a really good setup for it. I just didn't have like anything to follow it up with. I mean, now it's gonna stop working again, but but whatever.
Yeah.
The joke is contingent. I mean, it's I'm like, I would have been president 4 years ago. You know, if that was me, if I was her, I would have been president 4 years ago. I'd be like, come on, Joe, let's race down these airplane steps. You know, first week in office.
Yeah.
Let's go on a hike. Let's take a drive through Dallas. What are the chances it happens twice? And then if that doesn't hit, I just say, I'm like, all right, some of you don't know history, and all of you don't like that joke, and then that gets a laugh, and it's like, all right, cool, and then we move on.
Yeah, yeah.
There's little ways out of it, and you learn that too. But you just got to be comfortable with it, and you're like, all right, it's fine, it happens, whatever.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right, yeah.
Anything else you want to say before we depart?
Where do we
I
find
was.
you, or
What's up?
where do we find you? Like, I don't know if you do social media.
Everything. Yudhi does funny. My name is spelled Yudhi, Yudhi. Does
Yudhi the
funny.
Icon. Is that a YouTube channel or?
Yudhi the Icon. That's been my like everything forever. That was my rap name.
So you changed your username because I remember it was Yudhi the Icon.
It's still my name. I have 2 Instagram accounts. One is like a personal one, and on there it just says Yudhi the Icon, and then for my comedy stuff, it just Yudhi does funny, which is also a stupid name. I was like, I'll change it at some point, and then I just never changed
I like
it.
it. Yudhi does funny.
Yeah.
There's a ring to it.
Yeah, I didn't. I still wanted your answer on like short-term, long-term goals. What are you trying to?
Oh, for
Yeah,
comedy.
yeah.
Short-term goal, get a tight 15.
Okay,
I have a tight 10, I would say.
nice.
I don't think I have a tight 15 yet. But yeah, get a tight 15, like where it's 100% boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom. And then
I just hit my 15. I'm
you
trying.
got 15?
Yeah, I got 15.
Congrats,
I'm
man.
like,
that's awesome.
I've been saying that. Or I'm like, hey, how much time? I'm like, I got a 15 minutes I can trust.
Okay.
Yeah.
My problem right now is I keep just writing new stuff
Yeah.
and then just doing that and
Yeah.
then writing new stuff and then
Yeah.
more new stuff and it's like no, just
No, sometimes
Stop
you gotta. Sometimes you gotta do that. Sometimes you just gotta take a break from all the old stuff
Old
and
stuff,
just
yeah.
do new. If I think go with your instinct.
yeah.
Like just go with your instinct, and if that's what your brain's telling you to do, because sometimes like before a show, I have a pre-show ritual. I have to do a couple mics. I have to go to the gym. I have to do certain things before a big show, to have a good show. And now at those mics, sometimes I just run my material. I'm like, hey, here's what I'm gonna do tonight, and here's just me just going over it one time. Sometimes I'm like, I just want to laugh on some new shit. Let me just try to fuck around with them and try to get a laugh that way.
Yeah.
So I think go with your instinct and like,
It's a solid goal.
yeah.
Long-term plan, God willing, I want to do like a 30-minute or like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Like put it out there, like actually like do it in the next 2 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
dude.
like 2026 end.
Yeah.
Because that'll be like 4 years in comedy. And I think that's a good spot to.
That's great.
usually
Yeah. So let me.
start.
Hey, here's
Yeah.
here's where I am so far.
30 minutes, 45 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Maybe hour if.
A buddy of mine just Mike Anekwe. He just did a half an hour at
He did?
Flappers. Yeah.
Nice.
He just did his first time doing a full half hour, and he's been working on that. And I was like,
How many years is he in?
I want to say about 2.5 also.
Okay. Oh, he did 30 in 2.5.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's
and
impressive.
and he's been working on that. Like he told me about that earlier this year. He's like, my goal is by the end of the year to do a half an hour,
And he did it.
Good guy.
and he did it. And
There you
that's. I remember I thought that, and when I heard that, I was like, yo, what am I doing? I need to write more.
Mm.
I need to write more. I need to get work on my own stuff more, because like this, there's not nobody's holding you back from doing any of it.
Yeah.
And he's a hilarious comic, and I was like, he did it, and now we got to do our thing too.
Yeah.
you
Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah,
This was
bro.
really fun. Good,
What's
great
your
conversation.
long-term? I didn't ask you. Your long-term.
Long term. Theaters.
Oh,
Mm.
there you go.
Yeah. I'd like to do theaters. I'd like to be able to tour and get. That's what I'm aiming for.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, whatever I got to do to get there, I'm gonna keep doing
God
it.
willing, man.
Keep
Yeah.
pushing, and that's my
Sky's the limit.
Yeah.
skies.
So in comedy, it goes open mic, then you do the comedy club,
Yeah.
theaters,
Yeah. Open mic shows,
Oh, you're right. Open mic shows, comedy club
comedy club shows,
shows. Yeah, there's
and
four,
then
yeah. and then theaters.
unless you blow
Yeah.
up in some unique aspect,
Yeah.
usually what happens is somebody takes you on the road with
on
them.
the road, yeah.
Or you get a bunch of comics together and go on the road yourself. You're like, hey, I'm gonna just go do a couple. But more common is somebody takes you on the road with them, somebody like some
Yeah.
established comic, and they start taking you on the road, and then you become a feature, and then while you're a feature, you're like, all right, here's where, because once you're on the road in front of hundreds or hundreds of people
Mm-hmm.
every night, or a couple nights, or a couple shows a night, then you start learning on a whole different level. Then you're like, all right, now because first you're performing in front of like 6 comics who don't give a shit about what you have to say. And then you're on a show in front of like 10 to 15 to 20 to 30, whatever amount of people. And then in a club, it's all right. Now it's like double that or triple that or whatever. And then now if you're at a comedy club, like in front of a lot of people, and you're like, all right, I'm sorry, not a club, but in a,
Theater,
yeah, but I guess a club like a Brea Improv or whatever. We were like, or like main room at the Improv or Comedy Store or whatever. We were like, okay, there's a lot of people, and then feature to middle to headliner, and then once you're a headliner, like that's when you're able to sell out.
yeah.
Very hard. It's
That's the money
very
maker.
hard.
Very hard. Yeah, but
Yeah. But if you put it your all
time and
into
effort.
it,
Yeah,
it's
It'll
very
happen.
possible.
absolutely.
All right,
Very
man.
nice.
We'll see
We'll
you.
get there.
See you in the
Appreciate you
theaters.
guys.
Yeah,
Thank you for having
sir.
me on. Fun fucking conversation.
Yeah.
Yes,
cool, man.
sir.
Thank you.
See
Thank
you
you.
next time, man.